Hey everybody, it's just a chill day here at the Bugbee Villanueva household, so I thought I would make an envelope for a birthday card that I'm sending out, and that maybe you might want to see what that looks like while I do that. So first, I've got my perfect calligraphy envelope generator that's free on the TPK website, and I need to figure out whether I want to do 3 lines, Happy Birthday Daisy, just 1 line, or 2 lines. I think it might be cool to do happy birthday on 1 line and then Daisy on the 2nd line. So I kind of want to center that just a bit. So I'm going to line up this envelope, and then I think right here would be a good level for those guidelines. So I'm using a white mechanical pencil because I'm going to use white calligraphy. And you can see I'm lining up my parallel glider and making these guidelines. I love this parallel glider, but for some reason it is so difficult to get a hold of. My wholesaler doesn't have any right now. They're made in Poland. And they said that just COVID delays have made it difficult to keep them in stock. So yeah, I don't have any, but they're so great for this next step, which is making slant lines. So you just line up your ruler with a slant line, roll it down, and then you can make these lines. Isn't that fabulous? So it will help to ensure that your calligraphy has a consistent slant to it. You don't have to put these slant lines at a consistent spacing. They're just there to help you to ensure that your vertical strokes are, going exactly the right way. And then I'm going to put X's so I don't write here. Okay, so since I have just 3 words to write out, I am going to plan those out in advance by writing them with this white pencil, and I will speed up the video while I do that so you don't have to watch it in real time. All right, now that I've got that drafted out, let's test and see that the happy birthday is roughly centered. So I got about 1 inch here. And then out of sheer luck, I've also got about 1 inch here. So you see this is centered. Let's go ahead and put this cross on this H. And then also I wanted to fix this 2nd P so that it doesn't intersect with the descender from happy. This is why you draft things out first, so you don't end up with situations like that where the descender's curve intersected with that P too much, like they were right up against each other, which wouldn't have looked good. And then I also realized after I wrote the first line that I wouldn't want to center the 2nd line because there's just a lot going on down here. So I've put Daisy's name over here. And in fact, I think that I'll make this 2nd Y end right here so it's not competing too much with the D. So I am happy with how that looks. And it's time to ink over these letters. So let me grab my art water and we'll do that. Okay, with white ink, you usually want to start off by diluting that because all opaque white ink is rather paint-like and needs some dilution. So I've put some water in there and I'm using a chopstick to stir up the first like 1/2 inch or so of the ink until I've got the consistency of heavy cream. Okay. And then I'm using a Browse Extra Fine 66 nib and an oblique pen to help me with that right leaning angle of the letters. and I am going to ink over my draft. I'll speed up the video again so you don't have to watch that in real time. Okay, I like how that looks. I think it could use some gold accents though. So let's go ahead and moisten up a pan of Arabic gold watercolor. I'm just using a syringe, but you can use like a 1/8 teaspoon or whatever you have on hand. Give that just a couple of minutes to soak in. And now I'll just brush this on the back of the nib and I can get to embellishing. Okay, that looks good. Just a couple of gold accents here and there. So we'll let the ink dry and then erase the guidelines. Okay, I've given that about 30 minutes to dry, so now it's time to get rid of my guidelines. I'm using a black eraser because sometimes when you use a white eraser, it will leave sort of waxy marks on the page. Now with white ink, you need to be really careful because it's kind of like nail polish. Have you ever painted your nails and you think, oh yeah, that's dry? And then you find out it's not because you put some friction on it. It's the same with white ink. It might feel dry to the touch, but if you really rub on it, it might come off, especially if it's only been 30 minutes or so. So definitely go at it gently. If it's been overnight, which is really the optimal amount of time to let white ink dry, then you can go ahead and erase it more vigorously without fear. That's looking good. I love it when you get the guidelines off and you can just see the calligraphy without the guidelines. It makes everything come together really nicely. So far, no white ink smears. Knock on wood. And if all you have is a white eraser, that might be okay if you're working on dark paper. Just give it a test in an inconspicuous spot to test it out first. Okay, so now this simple birthday envelope is all ready to go, and I hope that you have some inspiration for next time you need to make an envelope for a birthday card.